episode of Chatty Broads with Becca and Jess.
Well,
morning.
howdy ho, bros. Howdy ho.
We have so many things we're going to talk about on this episode. I'm really looking forward to it.
I am so excited for this episode too. I mean, first of all, we have
something to drop on you too. When we start talking about like the drama news, you're going to love it.
I'm shaking right now. Okay, broads. First, we're gonna do a few life updates because we got some stuff going on.
Yeah.
We're gonna hear from someone on Becca's team because good Alma was just dropped.
Yes.
You look so cute.
Thank you.
And then we are going to get into broads. We are going to get into the MomTok TikTok drama and some other pop culture news. But let me say this to you all. I knew nothing of these people. I know nothing of the TikTok world. So I'm like, why would I care or get into this? You're going to want to listen because I don't care if you have a TikTok or not or know who these people are. This shit is bananas, okay?
I was trying to explain it to Gray last night and he's like, what?
Oh, no.
What? And then we're watching like part of the live on YouTube and he's like, I can't believe this.
I'm not joking. So Evan was all like set up post-surgery and I was at my mom's house. So like my sister and her boyfriend and my mom and Evan were all sitting there as I was doing research for this. And they were around me like story time because I was playing parts of the lives and they were so invested. They're like, what the fuck is going on?
Can't wait to tell you an interesting little tidbit, but I'll save it. Okay, let's just start out with that though. Evan's surgery.
Okay, yeah, Evan's surgery. So
there are... First of all, I don't think any of us ever told... Evan didn't even tell the story, I don't think, of what happened.
I think he did a little bit on the bros. Okay. He was just like in a rehearsal for work and they took a little break to play basketball and he just like fell back in a weird position. Yeah. And it was... Which is, I think, how most of these things happen.
Okay, so maybe that's the thing. People were DMing being like, we never even heard it. It was like, well, no, that's it.
That's literally all that happened.
And then his knee broke
and it was just like, or his patellar tendon completely snapped in half, which is what holds together the movement of your entire leg.
I just saw the incision from the surgery. I thought it was going to be like no, it's down, straight down his like half his shin and his entire knee.
This is not...
It's disgusting.
It was not... This is not a low-key situation, which I think Evan and I went in and he, you know, the way he is he's like, I'm going to be back on my feet in no time. He's like, I'm not joking. So his surgery we were able to get it quicker because the insurance contacted us. So we were able to do it on Friday, which I'm so grateful for because then he had the long weekend to like start to recover. But I'm not joking. We had this thought in our minds, I don't know why, that it was going to be like a rough 48 hours. And then after that, we're like, my mom is willing to watch Ember on Sunday and you and I can just go to a hotel and you can just lay by the water with like your leg lifted up. Oh, no. I don't know what we were thinking because I picked this man up post-surgery, which his surgery, it was so long.
You said almost 3 hours?
Yeah, it ended up, it was 3.5. Oh my God. It was supposed to be 2.5. They ran into some issues. I didn't tell Evan because he was so worried about it. It's all fine.
He still doesn't know?
No, because he starts to like spin out when he knows that it's a little bit longer. All of a sudden he's like, why does this feel weird? It's fine. It was all good. The surgery was a success. But so I knew what time I was supposed to pick him up and it kept getting delayed. And I couldn't get a hold of anybody. I'm like, why is this taking so long? I was starting to freak out. I'm waiting outside, just me and Ember. And I'm like, what's going on? And they end up finally contacting me and they're like, he's out of surgery. It was all good, blah, blah, blah. It went longer because of this, and that. But he's like really deep. He's having a hard time coming out of general anesthesia. He's pretty out of it. We'll have a nurse.
Come get him now.
Yeah, it was a little bit like that. They're like, we'll have a nurse contact you when he's ready. So I'm then waiting for an hour to hear like, okay, when he's ready to get out, I see him calling me. And I'm like, I thought a nurse was going to be calling me. I pick up, he hangs up on me. I try calling him back, he doesn't answer. He calls me again, hangs up on me.
Remember that story when Chris abandoned me at my birthday and I'm just seeing like the typing signs and then a call and you're like,
what? That. And you're like, what is going on? He keeps calling me and keeps hanging up on me. Finally, he stays on the line and I can't even understand a goddamn word he's saying. He is so out of it from general anesthesia. He's just like, I'm so can't I'm going to be here for a long time. You better go home. I don't know. I mean, like, I'm like, Evan, just hang up the phone. The nurse will contact me. Just, you're going to throw up or something. Like, you sound so out of it. Apparently, he starts calling all these family members, and they're like, he's saying, you know, just the wildest shit, like open book, slurring to everyone. I'm like, can someone, for the love of God, take this man's phone away? I was afterwards checking like bank statements. Like, what did he pay something? Like, did he post something? Like, I have no idea. He was so on another planet. I don't even know what was going on. Finally, the nurse calls me, and when he gets wheeled out, like, I mean, I didn't even know. I was telling you before, I was like, I did not think it was going to be like this recovery wise. I'm like, I don't know how to get him in this car. It's just me, Ember, and Evan at the time. The car's too small because his leg can't bend. It has to be completely straight for like months.
Also, by the way, we don't have to get into details, but one of the nurses tried to rope Evan into an MLM. Interesting timing.
Interesting timing. If you didn't listen to our episode on Tuesday, by the way, a banger. And we're going to be getting more into it. And one of the nurses tried to get him while he was recovering from general anesthesia into Amway, and the way into Amway, what we talked about. And by the way this started was she asked him what he did for a living, and he said music. And she said, do you know such and such, who is the person, our old best friend, who tried to rope us into Amway?
The timing is bizarre.
It's so wild.
This
is
also like, before the episode even came out.
Yes,
like last
I called
week.
Becca right away, and I'm like, you will not believe what just happened. And
I can't wait for him to talk about it on the bros too. I know he will.
And apparently, like, yeah, and I'm like, also, I'm like, please don't do this to someone while they're under.
I was like, how is this legal?
It doesn't feel legal. I guess he prodded her though.
Right. Sure.
And apparently,
I could totally see that.
He told me, but again, his memory, he doesn't remember calling me or his brother or whatever. But his brother said that he was loudly like, there's a nurse in here and just trying to get me into this Amway bullshit. And he's like yelling it, and they're all there. And I'm like, oh my God, Evan, for the love of God.
So funny.
Insane. But anywho, long story short, I just want to have a huge shout out, like a massive shout out to every single caretaker and or person who has had to be a caretaker out there. This is not my skill set.
I'm not cut out for this.
I am not cut out for it. It is so much work. I was just like, I wasn't prepared, and I had Ember and him, and he just, you know, for the first 72 hours, like he couldn't walk. So he couldn't go to the bathroom himself. So I was like, you know, very much wanting to help him, but he's a big guy.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to do this. And he is so difficult to help. Yeah. He is impossible to help because he just goes, no, I got it. He's falling on. I'm like, Evan, you're going to make it worse for all of us if you don't let me help you right now. He's like, no, I'm going to get my ice myself. I'm like, you can't move. You can't move.
Ember's like, you're going in an old folks home when you hit your 80s.
Oh, Ember's just like, you're going to be too difficult. There's no way. And then Ember's pissed because she's not getting as much attention.
Yeah, that's just I was
exhausting. Taking care of him, and she's like, my mom came on the third day back to her house. She had been gone because we were staying there, and my mom's like, Ember, I'm gonna hang out with you today, which was so nice. So then I was able to just focus on Evan. And then it was bedtime, and she's like, Mom's gonna put me to bed though, right? And I'm like, Ember, I'm helping Daddy out right now. And she looked at me without batting an eye, and she goes, you know, I'm your main responsibility.
Let the man die.
She literally said to me, you chose to have me, so you should be watching me right now. And I'm like, fair points. I'm like, your dad is in pain, in mass amounts of
major surgery.
Your father, who has the highest pain tolerance of anyone I know, has like tears in his eyes.
Straight. Get your priorities straight.
I couldn't believe it. I was like, talk about not being an empath.
You know, he'll be fine.
I couldn't believe it. It was so rough.
He's made it through a lot as it is.
He's going to be okay. But but now,
oh my goodness, that was your Memorial Day weekend. Happy Memorial Day weekend.
But as of today, he's able to move around a little bit, which is awesome. So it's, you know, he's recovering. I'm just trying to keep him not moving as much because he's now wanting to do things quickly. And I'm like, I know that
he's like, I've got it. Major surgery was only 4 days ago. I can do it.
I'm like, Evan, they told you this to me like 3 months until like, just, you need to just chill so you don't injure yourself more. But I'm grateful that he's doing well. And like I said, shout out to caretakers because I've been doing it for a few days with him and it is just...
You're like, I'm over it, baby. I'm over it.
It's a thankless job.
Dude, for real. I can't imagine. Wow.
But anywho, you had a
great
Memorial Day. I was living vicariously through everyone's fun times. Yeah. And I was going through my MomTok drama. There was still some bliss in it. You know what I mean? There
was. MomTok was really like, it lightened the load of our nation. Yeah. Like collectively. We needed it.
It really helped me out this weekend.
We needed swinger Mormons on TikTok.
We did need swinger Mormons.
I can't wait to talk about it. And I also want to briefly touch on too the episode last week with Liv. Also, they had Gray's ex-girlfriend on the Chatty Bros podcast. Okay. We went to, have you been to Mendocino Village? Like Mendocino proper?
It looked so magical.
Everyone should go. Everyone should go. The most stunning, charming little bed and breakfasts, all like, you know, semi-haunted from the early 1900s, late 1800s. And Northern California's like history is so different than Southern California. Like there were all these historical cemeteries with all these people from the 1800s. I'm like, we don't have that shit around here.
It looked like you were on the East Coast.
Yeah, it was so just like different with, just all the historical stuff. But Mendocino Village, like just all the shops, all the homes, all the bed and breakfasts are just these stunningly like Victorian romantic little, you guys have got to go.
It looks so magical.
And it was pretty chill because we like flew into Santa Clara and it was only a 2-hour drive and a 1-hour flight. But anyway, and we were with Gray's friends and it's like right on the cliffs, you know, and it's amazing. Dreamy. I always forget the Northern California coast is so gorgeous. But yeah, it was really fun. We went with a bunch of his friends because some of his childhood friend was getting married. But it was really fun because in his friend group, especially that one, like I've had to be with a lot of his friends. I've just been such like the party pooper loser bitch for the past like 4 years because like you have the kids. I've always been pregnant. Yeah. So like we're going over for New Year's. I'm 8 months pregnant. I can't drink. Everyone's like, drinking. They're like drinking and doing Molly. And I'm just sitting there like, Grayston, I want to go home.
Right. Like, and then they're like, oh, like, she wants him to leave. And it's like, well, yeah,
she's
because I'm about to have the child.
Right. Or just like I don't know if anyone's saying that, but I can only guess because I'd probably be saying the same thing because like none of them have kids. They all live in like the same neighborhood in LA. Sure. They're always all getting together. And yeah, whenever we go out, it's like, well, the kids are going to wake up at 6 a.m. So like, let's go home. I'm just like, ugh. Plus they're not my friends. And it's like, I never really got that opportunity to get to know everyone well because like I said, I was pregnant and everyone was always partying. And so I'm just like, I don't have any, like right now, I just don't have anything in common. And a lot of times I was just exhausted and over it. Sure. And like, Gray is Mr. Social Butterfly. So of course, if we go to like a friend event, I'm just like sitting there like, okay, like hopefully, and they've all been friends since childhood. So I'm just like, so I think oftentimes I would just kind of shut down and be like, I hate this. But this past weekend, I just was like, you know what? I'm committed to like, I'm going to be a social butterfly. So he had to be with the groomsmen like all day Saturday because he was the best man. And it was really fun because I went hiking with his friends and I just got to like hang out with a lot of people and show them like, no, I am fun.
I am a person.
And this is now like the second.
I'm fun, Becca.
No, exactly. There is a reason he is with me. I promise you guys. Like, because there's always been the times too where he's like been out partying and I'm calling at him at 1 a.m. like, where the fuck are you?
Sure.
And then he's like, Becca says I have to come home. And they're all like, boo.
Love when they blame it on us. I used to know with Evan. Evan would be like, Jessica's making me come home. I'm like, you said you were going to be home at 11. 2 hours passed. What you said you were going to do. How is this my fault?
Exactly.
Always.
So it's kind of funny because it was like the second time we hung out with some of his friends last year, a different set of his college friends. Anyway, it's the second time it's happened where a bunch of people over the weekend were like, oh my God, like, it was so great to like get to know you. And I'm like, yeah.
Ashante.
Well, it was the undercurrent being like, oh, you don't suck. And I'm like, yeah, I promise. Like, I can be fun. So it was a blast. It was just a good time. We were just hanging out, partying. Gray gave the best man speech ever.
I was about to say, when you said he was the best man, I'm like, I would imagine that Grayston Leonard gives A+ speeches.
He brought the house down.
Like the laugh,
when I tell
the tears,
you, dude,
it's all in there.
Literally, like he cried during his speech. I was like, oh my God. And then I got it on video. People are like scream laughing, like, I helped write some of the notes in the car some of the jokes in the car on the way there.
Obviously.
So I was his ghostwriter. No, it was like the best man speech ever. Like one of his friends was like, yeah, we watched it like 3 more times in the car on the way home.
My
gosh. It was like a 12-minute speech. Also,
they're like, put it on YouTube. We're watching it over and over again. And honestly, when we've talked about this on episodes before, when someone gives a great, maid of honor, best man speech, whatever, they can outshine the wedding.
Oh, yeah.
They can outshine the bride and groom. Everyone is like, I'm obsessed with whoever this is. And now they're a celebrity around the wedding party. You're like, oh my God, that's the best man.
He was also super cold. So he gave the whole speech with like some lady's scarf like wrapped around his head and neck.
Dude,
and he was already kind of drunk. He almost knocked down like the entire altar floral setup because he was leaning on it. It was awesome.
When you post the person who said the Grey Gardens comment and then you post Little Edie and like the side-by-side of Grayson and Little Edie, Evan and I were cry laughing because we had just watched Grey Gardens like a week ago.
Oh, was it the first time you watched it?
Oh no, it's one of
okay,
I'm
okay,
obsessed.
Okay.
But Evan had never seen it before, and he's been watching RuPaul's Drag Race with me, and one of the queens, Jinx Monsoon, does Little Edie as an impression. She's fantastic.
My God. Did you ever watch, by the way, documentary now on Netflix with Fred Armisen and I can't think of his name. Bill Hader, and it's the spoof of Grey Gardens. But the funny thing is they're doing the exact same thing from the movie.
We watched it immediately after, and Evan was like, this is the exact same movie. That's how wild that documentary was. You have to watch Grey Gardens. Fantastic.
Yeah. So it was a great time. Good time. Good times were had.
I cannot wait to listen. I can't wait to listen to the Bros episode. Evan told me that him and Grayson are going to be talking about his raging and his hangover.
Oh my God.
Which I love a good hangover and party story.
He always takes it. I'm like, when have I ever been incapacitated by a hangover in the history of our relationship? Never. How many times have I? He was literally like, he was in the car just like, oh, you have to drive, just fully reclined. I'm like, I didn't get very much sleep last night either. And he's like, you have to, but you're not about to throw up. And I'm like, but whose fault is that?
I want to know astrologically if this is a thing. Let us know, broads. Because Evan being an Aquarius, I've never seen him incapacitated from a hangover.
Tank.
He's a tank, but also like
we've talked about it before. He's a cockroach, like his body can withstand a lot.
It's true. I mean, he's up and walking like
he's
3 days into
basketball next week. Just wait.
But that's how I am with hangovers. As a Libra, I'm like I have like one too many, and I am like in full embryo state. Like, don't even look at me. Let the sun not hit me for 72 hours. Oh, yeah. Like, if you make eye contact with me, I will puke. Like, it's game over.
Oh, I have had some awful hangovers, I will say, like truly horrible ones where, I'm
push through.
Very ill. I've kind of figured out the art of it. But I will say I'm a responsible drinker where I'm like, I need to make sure, even in my drunk state, I am the person that does have my phone, wallet, and keys all in a stack next to me when I wake up and my makeup's removed. And I'm like, how did that happen?
If my makeup's off after a night out, I'm like, wow, girl, you are an adult and you are shining. I'm a boss babe times 10.
Yeah, so I don't know, like keep up with my water, make sure I'm eating and only stick with one alcohol. That's a big one.
Yeah,
I can't do the wine. But anyway, so that was really fun. Oh, I did want to say though, you guys have to listen to, if you haven't yet, Gray's ex-girlfriend on the podcast. But it was,
oh my God,
it was so funny. I had to speak up for myself because I was listening to it, and I think Evan asked like, oh, does Becca get jealous? I have never once been jealous of their relationship. I mean, I guess maybe like, oh, that's sweet, but Yeah, no, it's like Liv is so awesome.
Oh,
and then
yeah.
she and I like work so closely together. Yeah, I don't know. I always thought it was, and Gray kind of spoke to this, but I always thought it was sort of comforting to know that he was still close with someone who meant so much in his life, because one, it means that he doesn't just cut people out. But then two, he really understood when I talked about like really, you know, like strong feelings of love and just like care for my exes, because there's like a couple where I'm like, you know, they still have such a fond place in my heart, and I want them to be a part of like major life events. And he always understood that and was always like, yeah, totally, because like he could understand that in the context of his relationship with Liv. Still hilarious that he says that like he had never had a real girlfriend until he dated me. I'm like, no, that was definitely your real girlfriend, even though you guys
I know when
didn't
they were
call
talking
it
about it,
that.
I was like, that's a relationship. But it was, no, you have to listen to the episodes, broads. It was what a healthy ex conversation.
It was
so
sweet.
lovely. I'm telling you, Evan came, he literally came into the house after the recording and he was like emo. And I'm like, what's going on? He's just like, he's like, it's just so nice to see two people who they care about each other. And like, you know, they were able to go through that. And then you transition into them all loving each other. And, you know, then Becca's part of it. And I'm like, wow, these meds are really hitting you hard, aren't they?
Life is so
He's
beautiful.
like, it's so lovely.
Oh my goodness. That is too funny.
But, oh man.
I'm trying to think what else, if there's anything else I have to cover. Yep, no, episode, Evan's surgery, weekend away, best man speech. Oh, and then on Tuesday. Oh wait, should we take a quick ad break?
Let's take a quick ad break before we dive into this story you're about to weave. Broads, picture this. It's a warm summer evening. The sun is about to set. You've had a full day outside with friends and family, and now you're about to sit down to a restaurant quality meal that you made yourself, and there are no dishes to do afterward. No, this isn't some dream world. This can be your reality if you're using HelloFresh for your home cooked dinners.
That sounds like the perfect summer night, if you ask me. But that really can be everyone's reality with a little help from HelloFresh. HelloFresh is America's #1 meal kit that delivers farm fresh, pre-portioned ingredients and seasonal recipes right to your door. Cooking can present a lot of obstacles, whether you have to, you know, get to the grocery store, get the ingredients, not to mention wasting money on ingredients you might not have another use for. You know, you're like, I need chives. Now I've got
chives.
Now I've got like all these chives that are left in my refrigerator
What am I supposed to do? Make a chive pie? I don't know how to do that.
But HelloFresh addresses all the obstacles and more. Oh, not to mention the amount of cleanup is way less with HelloFresh also.
That's right. The only thing you have to do is pick out what you want to eat from their 30 different weekly options. Their summer menu is supreme, in my opinion. I just ordered the Tuscan spiced shrimp and chicken sausage stuffed peppers. Oh my God. And I cannot wait to cook them up next week. HelloFresh has become a fun family activity for us too, because everything comes pre-portioned and partially prepared. My daughter loves to lend a hand, and I don't mind letting her do it because it's a fun way for us to spend time together.
Oh yeah. I mean, like, you know, Frank's a toddler and I can still be like, oh, dump this in here.
Yeah, kid, get to work.
Boom. Go to HelloFresh.com/chatty16. Use code chatty16 for up to 16 free meals and 3 free gifts. That's HelloFresh.com/chatty16 and use code chatty16 for up to 16 free meals. That is a lot. And 3 free gifts.
So, broads, there is so much important to talk about saving the planet and reducing our footprint and protecting the oceans. And truly, the list goes on for forever. It can be really overwhelming to figure out how you can make an actual difference. And one of the easiest ways you can do your part is by switching your household cleaning products to Blueland instead of buying products in single-use plastic bottles.
Not to mention, you can save space in your cabinet when you're stocking up, and money. Each year, about 5 billion plastic hand soap and cleaning bottles are thrown away. It is a really big portion of our plastic waste. So switching to Blueland can really reduce your impact on the planet, because you buy a bottle just once and you refill it forever. Blueland has tablets for all your basic household supplies. They've got hand soap tablets, laundry and dishwasher tablets, toilet cleaner, all-purpose spray, window spray, all the things you would normally buy in a plastic bottle or a tub. So you just fill up your Blueland bottle with warm water. You drop in the tablet. In minutes, you have a brand new bottle full of cleaning product.
It's so easy. And when you use Blueland, you're doing your part to help save the planet, like we said. But you're also, like Becca was saying, you're going to be saving money and space. But money, which is just the cherry on top. Blueland's bottles start at just $10 when you buy a kit, and their refill tablets start at just $2 compared to the $5 a bottle I used to spend for eco-friendly cleaning products, sometimes even more like $8 to be honest at the store. Blueland products are an absolute steal. I've been loving their dishwasher tabs the most. I couldn't even believe how clean they get my dishes. By the way, I tried something else because I ran out of the dishwasher tabs with Blueland, and my dishes were not even close to as clean. So thank you, Blueland.
Not to mention, like, we use all-purpose spray all the time in our house, just like for the counters and like, kids' chairs, whatever. And I can keep like 15 tablets in one jar. I'm stocked for the whole year.
It's wild.
Easily.
And the quality is just so good too. Like, yeah.
Right now, you can get 20% off your first order when you go to blueland.com/chatty. That's 20% off your first order on any Blueland products at blueland.com/chatty, blueland.com/chatty. Okay, so this will be really fun because the Good Alma had a relaunch on Tuesday, and it was just really, I had a less than satisfactory experience last year with the old company I was working with. It was just frustrating because they basically just didn't make good on their promises. Like, I always wanted to make clothes, and they were basically like, you can make merch. And I was like, that's not what you told me that I was going to be able to do.
Right. You wanted to design clothing.
Yeah. And make cool stuff and make something that was different and unique. So, anyway, working just with this new company who, like Gray mentioned on the podcast last week, Liv was literally the reason why I got hooked up with this company that she does.
So cool.
She's a project manager with, but just being able to, we have stuff planned out for the whole rest of the year. Like right now we're working on the holiday collection and like wool pantsuit sets and like just really high quality stuff, and getting like this entire collection that we just dropped is all like just really high quality, like canvases and poplin fabrics and all this stuff. And it's just been a blast. Like every week I have a meeting with my team, and getting to channel that creative energy into, just being able to edit, like, no, I want this, but I want this like this. And okay, now I got to figure out the photo shoots and all that stuff. Has just been such a fun outlet, and getting to do it the way that I always wanted to do is really exciting. So I thought that I wanted to bring on real quick Andrew, because Andrew is the designer on the team. So he basically is the one who makes my visions happen.
Come to life.
Yes. And it's pretty cool because, well, you know what? I'll save this for when he hops on, but we're going to bring Andrew on and just have a little chat because I think he's super cool. And I kind of want to hear from his perspective, like, sort of what inspired him for helping me design this collection and all of that. And also, like, a lot of times you don't hear from the actual designers behind brands. Like, there are so many ghost designers, like
so many talented people behind the scenes.
Yeah, basically any brand you can think of. There is like someone behind the scenes who has the vision, who is making that collection really come to life. And I can tell you, like, I have a lot of ideas, but I'm certainly not a designer who knows how to take ideas and concepts and visuals and create it into a really well-made garment. So anyway, let's have him on. Okay, with us, Andrew. I don't know how to say your last name.
KOLCZYNSKI.
Andrew KOLCZYNSKI. Welcome. I was just giving a little bit of background, and I was saying, like, you know, Andrew is the one who's kind of made Good Alma come to life. And oftentimes for so many brands, there are like designers behind the scenes that they're the ones making the vision and everything happen. So I thought it would be fun to kind of have you on and talk about your side of the story making this. So first of all, I think you should give a little background. What do you do? How did you start doing it? Other brands you've worked for, all that kind of stuff, and kind of what led you here. I'm curious too.
Yeah. I think I started designing clothes in like high school, like t-shirts and stuff, because my friends and I would skate all the time. And so we wanted our own t-shirt company. And then in college, I begged my mom for a sewing machine, and she bought it saying only one of us is going to learn how to sew, and it's going to be me. And my mom still doesn't know how to sew. I do. And then I graduated, moved to New York, interned around.
Wait, what'd you get your degree in?
So I studied Latin and Greek.
Very useful.
You super useful. Trust me. My thesis on proto-imperial architecture is moving mountains right now. And I also studied fine arts. So I was the double major.
Okay.
Yeah. And then I worked my way into the fashion industry here in New York. I was at Adam Lippis for 3 years.
Oh, wow.
And I helped open their store, and I was their textile designer, among a lot of other things, managing their customer and buyer facing assets. And then I left that job last summer. And shortly after that, Calla reached out to me and was like, hey, do you want to hop on this brand with you guys? With
Wait, no
Alma?
way. Really?
Yeah, it had happened all really quite quickly. Yeah, I left, and shortly after, I was talking to Faye, and she showed me your mood board, and I kind of immediately knew. I was like, okay, Becca knows what she's doing. I want to be part of this project. So
Whoa, that's so cool. Okay, so I thought that you had already been like working with Calla, and I have to give shout out to Faye, because Faye was like, I think I know someone who will like do really well designing this collection.
Yeah, it happened super quickly. And when I was originally talking with Faye, I thought they were going to put me on like hoodie projects, like design a t-shirt.
Yeah,
merch, exactly. But I had this whole portfolio from my time with Adam and with a couple other brands that I had interned for. And she was like, oh, you actually design clothes. And I had my own line that I was doing as well. And so, yeah, I was like, yeah, sure, let's do it. This is actually, I've done a couple other Calla projects, but yours is my first and still favorite. Don't worry. First and favorite thing that I work on with them.
That's so sick, because and it's so funny because I was just going on your Instagram the other day and I was like, wow, like I love all this stuff, and what a cool thing that like first try we were kind of able to come together and like make this whole collection. And I don't know, it just makes me so happy to be able to creatively collaborate with someone who just totally gets it. And like, that's just really cool.
Yeah, no, I feel like our design conversations are fun. I gotta be honest, my favorite thing is when you tell me no on something. Because I'm like, great, she knows what she wants. Like working with people who are like, well, what do you think? I'm like, I just told you what I think.
Right.
What you think. And like, I think the other day you were like, this is starting to look like a prom book. And I was like, okay, I am never
catalog.
a prom catalog. I'm never showing you this color palette ever again. And now I know. And like, I'm never going to do it again.
Like, so this is screaming Sherry Hill, and I'm over it. And Andrew could totally take it too. He's like, okay, deleting that.
He's like, all right, never again.
Presentation.
I deleted it live. I was just like, I'm getting rid of this. We're taking this out.
Bad vibes.
Scrub it.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so funny. And oh my God, people don't even know like the shit that we're making for the rest of the year. Well, I have to say, we get a little out of hand. We have Tulez also on our team, who she's in charge of like sourcing things and making sure, like, I didn't even have any idea going into this how everything from like and I think it's good for consumers to know, like everything from a chain stitch detail on like, you know, the wrist of a sweater to a certain type of button to a certain type of knit, like that all you have to figure out who's going to make it, how you're going to source it, and like how much money it's going to cost.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of funny. Yeah. Thank God for Tulas. Yeah. Because, you know, if we're doing something like, we're going to do a silk gown and we want it to cost $80, you know, and it's like, no, that's not going to happen. Also, Andrew's the New Yorker who's like, just make it $450. You're like, I'd pay $600 for a belt. And I'm like, no.
Yeah. So I just dream. That's what I do.
Yes, yes. Well, actually, I think that would be interesting. People always comment on prices with small brands. And I would actually kind of be interested to hear you sort of break it down as someone who has also like designed your own small brand and, you know, hand done so many of the garments that like you make and sell and all of that. So I'd kind of like to hear you like quickly break that down for consumers who are maybe like, well, why can't this shirt be $13 like when I buy it at Zara?
Right. I mean, I think Oh, that's a long conversation. But I think the thing is that smaller brands have way lower minimums. So things cost more to make, as well as like a lot of smaller brands, especially ones starting today, given everything going on in the world, are trying to do a better job.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And that just costs money. And big brands like Zara and H&M and even other bigger brands that are selling slightly more expensive clothing are training consumers to believe that like our sailor pants should only cost $50 when that's not really true. And on the thing about clothing is when you see it on a rack or in a store or whatever, you just see the pant. But like when I'm designing and when we're talking in meetings and when Tulez is telling us about production, we're considering all of the other people who are making this happen, all the way to the people that are like weaving the textile. There's not like garments still have to be made by hand. Somebody's like making that sitting there at a sewing machine. And so I think it's really important to be mindful of those things as a consumer when you're buying clothes, and for smaller brands to really appreciate the fact that they know that they're already working on lower minimums. They know that they're already marketing to a way less audience, and yet they're still trying to do what we're trying to do at Good Alma. So that's kind of what I would say to consumers is like, try to consider those things, that we're trying to give you the best possible thing for the best possible price we can do, while also making sure all of our back end is taken care of, not just us.
Yeah, the people are getting paid.
Right. I read something yesterday where it was like someone is paying the price, right? So even though you may be paying this much, someone else is paying that price, whether that be not being paid a livable wage, etc. And also just with minimums, this is something I never understood before, but what that sort of means for someone who doesn't know what that means, it's like a giant brand might be able to order, 8,000 units of a pant or something like that, for instance, which like really, really big box brands, they also plan to not sell everything. So their plan is we might sell, what would you say, like 60 to 75%?
Yeah, maybe. I wouldn't even know those. I've never worked for like a big box brand, but they don't expect to sell out.
Right. And then with those clothes that don't, I mean, they might go on clearance. If they don't get sold, they might end up in an outlet, and eventually down the line, they're going to end up getting shipped to like a foreign country or like in a landfill or whatever. But then versus if you're buying 200 units of something, because you're only making a small amount, your price is like, sometimes triple or quadruple what someone is going to pay when they're buying like thousands and thousands of units at once. So I think that's important for people to remember too. But anyway, more fun stuff. What would you say was kind of like your inspiration for this collection, and just kind of like other stuff that's upcoming? Like, where do you kind of get your inspiration, and how do you go about your artistic process when you're designing clothes?
Yeah. Well, I was thinking about this when you asked me to be on this call, like what is kind of our brand aesthetic and everything. And I like to read when I'm not designing, and I feel like we're like like an Ernest Hemingway book at its most romantic.
Oh, I love that. Without all the sad shit.
Yeah, exactly. Take away all the sad shit and just those romantic moments, where they're like in Spain on like a mosaic table with the rattan chairs, and they're like drinking wine and whiskey and cutting it with water, and like, which is only half a page because something bad has to happen.
It's a brief moment, but it's a good moment.
That little slice of life right there, I feel like that's what we're designing into. I think that's kind of what I am thinking about. Like, what is that like so romantic moment of life that you could live? And I think that's like what our clothing does. Like, I think when you put it on, you just feel like the best version of yourself. You're like, you're going to have a good day in those pants or in that cardigan or, all of the other exciting things that are coming up. So,
holiday. You're on holiday forever.
I was going to say, as soon as I saw the collection, I was like, I am booking my ticket to the Amalfi Coast. I am putting this clothes on. I am getting an Aperol Spritz. Like, this is the vibe that I want.
Exactly. For sure.
We also designed what's coming out next in the summer almost exclusively around Parent Trap. So, there's that too.
Yeah, which was funny that was your reference, because a long time ago when I first started, two of my bosses, they were like, you need to rewatch Parent Trap right now, this weekend. It was a Friday. And I was like, man, I haven't seen Parent Trap in so long. And they were like, well, you need to rewatch it if you're going to design here, because that movie is chic. And I was like, okay. I like went home. I was like,
better
can I
rewatch
clock
it.
these hours? Like, and I watched Parent Trap and I was like, okay, you're right.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Years later at like 23 or whatever, I was like, okay, right. This movie's gorgeous. So
Yes.
it's a great reference point.
100%. And I like to think too of like, the way I feel about the clothes that we're making too is, and I'm so into this, I guess just in my own art practice, is like sort of encapsulating like this feeling of memory and nostalgia too, and sort of like bottling it up in a way that you can experience like on a regular basis. That feeling of like when you remember that memory of being on vacation or going to summer camp or whatever, and getting to experience that with the clothes that you're wearing and getting that kind of like euphoric feeling of remembering something good and timeless.
100%.
Yeah. Anyway, Andrew, thanks so much for hopping on. Super fun to hear from
Thank
you.
you,
Andrew.
Can you plug your stuff too?
Yes. First, I just like to plug all of Kala. They help us so much. Everyone who is on the back end, that Tulis, Faye, Jacob, Jordan,
yeah,
everybody, Olivia, like
rock stars.
Rock stars. Like I get to paint pretty pictures for you guys every week. So huge thanks to them. I have a TikTok, Andrew New York. You can watch me make all the clothes I make. And my Instagram is Andrew_New York_. If you follow me on TikTok, you'll find everything else. I make beautiful clothes for Becca and for myself. So yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Cool. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you, Andrew.
Bye.
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 Thanks, Andrew.
Bye. See you next Tuesday.
See you Tuesday.
He
love
is
him.
just charming.
He's my favorite. Like every week when we get on the call, I mean, literally, like he said, the whole team, I always look forward to Tuesday mornings. We have like our hour and a half calls and we all just get to sit there. I mean, sometimes it's not fun because with any company, shit goes awry.
There's drama, sure.
Yeah, like,
sure.
And I should just give this shout out that way people aren't blindsided. Like, I bought all of these fully home compostable, which that means you can like put them in your compost pile. They don't need to be processed in a like composting facility. All these home compostable bags because you have to put clothes in a poly bag, right?
Okay.
When you're storing them and then shipping them so they don't get messed up like in transit or like in production. Anyway, so I found out, so be prepared for anyone who's ordered. I found out that I guess they had already, before my team had like shipped them to the facilities, they had already bagged them all in the plastic poly bags. And I was like, no! And then they're like, that's waste if we take them out of the plastic bags and throw the plastic bags away and rebag them.
Yeah.
So anyway, sometimes there's things like that where I'm like, why did no one remember that they needed to be in compostable bags? But that won't happen again, just for half of the clothes in this drop. But anyway, so sometimes there's stuff like that that's not fun to deal with, or like, but
There's a lot of moving parts.
yes, there's a lot of moving parts, but there's so many good moments where we're all just sitting there vibing and be like, this is so sick. I would wear that. Ooh, what color are we going to do? Ooh, what fabric, what pattern? Ooh, should we do a canvas? Should we do a denim? You know, should we do wool? Like, it's so fun.
It's very movie energy.
It's
him being like, I'm in New York and
it's
I'm
a
doing
dream.
this and this is my TikTok in New York and like designing clothes. I'm like, oh wow.
And I have to say, if you go on his Instagram, like literally, I just started following everyone on my team on Instagram like last week. And I was like, wow, this is so like my vibe and my energy. And it's just a blast to get to work with people in that capacity. So I'm so grateful for all of them. And I love good Alma. I'm so excited.
So happy for you.
Okay, now on a drama note, let's do a quick ad break.
Yes.
And then let's get into the Mom Talk drama.
Okay, yes. Let's talk about this before we get deep into, oh my God, the drama. Okay, broads, I love therapy. You know that. I can't say it enough. If you've never tried therapy because it scares you, or you don't know it will really help, or if you think you're just honestly too cool for therapy. I mean, I don't know what the process is. Let me just tell you, it is scary, but in a good way. It absolutely does help, and no one is too cool to work on their mental health, okay? If you're curious about therapy, the easiest way to do so is with Talkspace.
Talkspace is the online therapy platform on a mission to make therapy accessible for anyone that wants it. So instead of trying to find a therapist that takes your insurance or driving to in-person in-person appointments, and paying an arm and a leg per session, hundreds of dollars sometimes per session. Talkspace makes it easy. Talkspace has a network of thousands of therapists that specialize in dozens of different areas. So whatever you specifically want to talk to somebody about, there's going to be a specific therapist for you on Talkspace just waiting to be matched with you. And once you're matched, you can start talking with your therapist right away.
Like actually right away, you can get a hold of your therapist 24/7 with text, audio, and video messaging. No appointment necessary. For a lot of people, just taking the first step towards getting mental health help is the hardest. Talkspace takes the pressure off and lets you do therapy on your terms in the way that makes the most sense for you.
If thoughts and emotions are just like piling up, a fresh perspective can help you feel a lot better. So you can match with your dedicated therapist today at Talkspace.com and use promo code Chatty during sign up to get $100 off your first month. That's $100 off at Talkspace.com, promo code Chatty.
So the average podcast listener has about 6 different shows in their rotation. As much as we would like to think you are only listening to Chatty Broads, we understand there may be more. We forgive you. So we have to recommend one of our favorites that can be added to your rotation, and that's Call Me Curious with Nikki Boyer. You know when something finally clicks for you, or you learn a new piece of information and it's literally like a light bulb goes off in your brain and the world starts to make a little more sense? Yeah, that is every single episode of Call Me Curious.
Oh, I love it. So each week, Nikki she dives in headfirst into subjects that you've heard about, but you might not know about all the specifics, like cryptocurrency or what the real deal is with intermittent fasting. Like, these are the questions we've definitely all had, but to have somebody do the research and explain exactly how things work or how they don't work or why they are the way they are, it's really interesting, it's enlightening, and of course it's entertaining. You're learning something and you're having a good time.
Oh yeah, Call Me Curious is my go-to podcast when I'm taking a nice long walk because it's so interesting. I literally forget I'm walking, and before you know it, I've gotten my 10,000 steps in for the day and become an expert in a new subject. Talk about multitasking. Nikki has a way of explaining things so they actually make sense, and I always finish the episode feeling like I have a new understanding of whatever she's talking about. It's become a new favorite in my rotation, and I really look forward to each new episode every week.
You too can listen to Call Me Curious at Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, or pretty much wherever you get your podcasts. You can listen early and also ad-free when you subscribe to Wondery Plus in Apple Podcasts or the Wondery app. And Wondery has so many amazing shows. It is worth it.
Okay.
All right. I feel like you're my investigative journalist here with MomTok because
is it time?
All of this. Okay. First of all, we should break down what exactly is MomTok.
Okay. So, MomTok is a group of moms who are on TikTok who they're all from Utah, from a similar area. Most of them are LDS, right?
Or adjacent.
Or adjacent, right? But most of them, talk about being Mormon. And for the most part,
and to clarify, when they talk about being a Mormon, it's like, why do Mormons have so many kids? And it's them dancing to the song, I'm Just Thinking with My Dick.
Yes. Correct. Yeah, we'll get into that. So it's these group of moms, and a lot of them have many children, and they are all very attractive. And most of them are, young moms. And there's it's kind of a weird when you're looking into who's in MomTok. It's hard to find the actual specific people because there's a lot of people who do the videos with them and are mothers. So then they're technically considered part of MomTok, I guess.
So this is a group, that's what they call themselves. Like, hey, we're MomTok.
Yeah. So it's maybe you'd say, and pardon me if I'm getting some of this information wrong. I'm brand new to this, but I did do a lot of research. You'd say maybe there's 12 to 15 people who are part of MomTok, but there's really an OG
core group
of a couple moms. But there are other moms who are now because this whole term MomTok got through into this drama, there's now a lot of these people who say they have nothing to do with this drama, who are getting dragged into it. They say they have no idea because the term MomTok is getting thrown around, and they're like, I'm not part of this. Here's the thing I think a lot of times with Instagram influencing,
and TikTok.
And TikTok, whatever form of social media, and I'm sure you can wildly attest to this. there are a lot of people who you will collaborate with once or twice that
Sure.
you don't know at all.
I mean, yeah. I mean, sometimes on the internet, these are professional relationships where it's like, yeah, you're besties, friends, but like really, it's not like it's a fake relationship, but it's like you're both trying to like gain traction
You're trying to get
on social
followers.
media.
Right.
So
Right. So there's this part of like, okay, I think a lot of these, there's the core group, and I think the people outside of the core group maybe see these women every once in a while when they get together and do an influencer event and then film 17 TikToks in one day, but they don't like regularly hang out with these people.
Well, let's be real. It's the same with just the Mormon community. Like that's part of also being a part of a church community as well. And I know that some of
Correct.
these women aren't exactly like practicing, but in Utah, and I just know from, you know, friends and Mormon communities that I grew up with, you're still in all these large circles of like family, friends. Like it's very, even if you're not necessarily a currently practicing Mormon, you're still a part of a very interlinked
course.
community. And it's something that the Mormons do really well, is creating really large communities and networks of families and mothers and all that kind of thing, which interestingly enough, we're going to be doing an interview soon and a episode about LuLaRoe, which also talks about how MLMs work so well in Mormon communities because they're really tight-knit groups of women.
Yes.
Which is an interesting aside, but anyway.
Yes. So that's basically what MomTok is. It's simple. It's a group of moms who are attractive and young, and they do
make
TikToks
content.
together.
Yeah.
And a lot of their TikToks are sexy.
Right.
It's them dancing.
Think tans, long hair extensions, blondes, wavy, you know, blonde beach waves. Yeah.
So this is where the drama begins. Let's start and talk about the core people in this drama.
Yeah, I mean, the person who has really blown all this out of the water, her name is Taylor Frankie Paul.
Taylor Frankie Paul is it's quite a mouthful. TFP is one of the MomTok, one of the OG MomTok members.
Like
okay,
out of a core group of like 3 or 4 girls.
yes. Now we're gonna do a tree here, so follow along, and I promise you it's worth it. I promise you, because this is gonna blow your mind.
We've got TFP.
We have Taylor, right? Taylor is married to Tate. Okay.
Not
Now-
Taint, Tate.
Not Taint, Tate. And then another one of the main players is a friend of Taylor's named Miranda. Miranda is married to Chase. Okay. Miranda is sisters with Camille. Okay. And Camille is married to Sam. So often in the TikToks, you're going to see Taylor with Miranda and with Camille.
So I'm just going to say this right now. We'll get more into it. I have spent literally like a whole night and almost spent the night at one of these people's houses.
Oh my God.
That you just mentioned.
Oh my God.
And actually had quite a, got to know them pretty well during that time.
Shaking. Oh my God, I'm so excited. Okay.
Continue.
When the reveal happens. The other member who is a big player is a woman named McKenna and her husband Braden. Okay. So this whole thing really exploded when TFP, Taylor, went on an Instagram live and basically said she had been posting these TikTok live. She had been posting these TikToks that were alluding to her getting a divorce, that were alluding to her friend group ending.
Right.
People started to put 2 and 2 together. They were seeing that a few of these women who used to be all these good MomTok friends were unfollowing Taylor. So what is going on?
Right.
That's all we knew, though. Nobody had come out and said anything. There had just been,
Although you listened to an interview that Taylor Frankie Paul did about 3 weeks ago, correct? And did she reveal anything on that episode?
Oh, I will tell you what she
Okay,
revealed once the
okay.
story, because this is then an interesting dynamic that's brought into it once we talk about that. But as far as
And she made a TikTok that really kind of blew things up where she said like, when your whole life is falling apart, but you like can't say anything without dragging everyone down with you or something to that effect. And so then people
it was
are
of her
like
packing boxes, moving out of her house.
So people are like, oh shit, like who was involved with this divorce situation? And then the sleuths came out.
So TFP goes on a
I love this, by the
TikTok
way. I haven't
Live.
heard anyone else say TFP, but I really like this.
It's very good, right? You've coined it. TFP goes on a TikTok Live and just starts dumping information. She says that yes, indeed, she is getting a divorce. And the reason she's about to reveal what she's about to reveal is she says she had heard rumblings. Now, this is still unconfirmed of if she's receiving DMs, if she was seeing things on Reddit, what was happening where she said she believed people were going to start coming after her and putting blame on her for things that she feel like she didn't deserve blame for because there's more to the story, as she says.
Now, this is what Gray brought up last night as we're going to all of this drama. Grayston was saying, all right, other girls that are involved in this situation or are being implicated, whether or not they're actually in this situation, they're just simply denying their involvement. So why wouldn't TFP just be like, no, it's not true?
Well,
what's your theory on that? Or if there's evidence on why that might be?
Well, I think we should explain what's going on before the evidence, just so that because there's a few pieces to this.
Oh, right. We got to explain what people are being implicated in.
So the implication, Taylor says that yes, her and Tate are getting a divorce. She says part of the reason for the divorce and things that she was led to believe were going to come out about her was that now, in her original TikTok, she said members of MomTok and a few others would get together regularly and have these soft swinger parties. Mm-hmm. So again, these are all these TikTok moms and their husbands who would get together on a regular basis. She said they would all get belligerently drunk and then they would go and they said the men never would hook up, but the wives would hook up, and then the men were allowed to hook up with the other wives if their wife was in the room, but they weren't allowed to go all the way. So they call it soft swinging.
Right. Soft swinging or soft swapping, as they call it.
Right. But she said that this was a discussion that had happened in the group, that they had all agreed that if you were going to swap, that the partners had to be in the room. You couldn't go alone. Let's just say I couldn't go with someone else's husband without our partners present. Right. So she said where her mistake was that her, and she didn't give the name, but she said her and one of the other wives' husbands went alone and hooked up. Mm-hmm. And she said both caught feelings and that they then revealed on their own accord to the group what happened. After that, she said a huge outburst happened, huge friend fight, things were revealed. She said other people catching. She said other people catching feelings as well. Other people breaking the agreements as well. Other secrets. She said all kind of got brought out in this huge combustion of an argument after her and this other woman's husband came forward and said that they had gone alone without their partners present and hooked up in this cabin or whatever.
And she said that they were all drunk. Actually, she said belligerent, which grammar person over here, I got to say belligerent means hostile and aggressive, not drunk. So I hope you weren't belligerent when you went and hooked up with this other man. Continuing on.
So this is what she reveals in the live. Again, she says MomTok. So this is then.
And she says also 2 other couples are getting divorced. She says one has to do directly with this situation and one doesn't really.
No. So she says
2 couples in the group. So not even MomTok. She's talking about their swinger group, I believe, when she's talking about that group.
But she kept saying MomTok. So what it started to do then was implicate all these potential people who are in this group who are like, I didn't even know. And they're going, I don't even know what's happening. Uh-huh. Now, where it starts to, and what she kept saying in her Instagram live, I keep saying Instagram live. This clearly I don't do TikTok.
Her live, yeah.
In her live, she kept saying that you can. She's like, I'm not going to name names, but you can figure it out.
Which, by the way, is this is the thing about Taylor Frankie Paul too. She has a history on her TikTok of like, she's the TikTok version of clickbait, right? Of like a BuzzFeed article or a clickbaity YouTube thing. Because she's done stuff where she pretends like her house is haunted. She claimed that she was Camille and Miranda's grandma.
Who are the twins. So she would regularly do the mom talks with these, the two twin
Camille
sisters.
and Miranda,
Camille and Miranda. She said that she was 50.
Yeah.
She was their mother. And then when they gave birth, she was like, I'm a grandma now. And she ran with that, by the way, for a long fucking time.
Right. So she always does.
Turns out she's
kinda...
just 28 years
right.
old.
I mean, and it's sort of like a joke. It's kind of like an obvious joke too. Like when she said she was their grandma and they were the grandkids, like they posted like a stupid photo of the girls like photoshopped onto like babies and it said that it was hers or something like that.
But when you would look in the comments, it was a 50-50. Half the people believed it, half didn't.
Well, that's the thing about TikTok too, right? Is you'll get something on your For You page where it'll be like, I'm married to a 95-year-old and I'm 28 and I love my life. And you're like, what? And it's true, you know? And then there's also a lot of clickbaity, silly things of like, I married my grandpa's best friend and I have no regrets. And then it's like, not, you know, it's just
but
silly.
she has this history of doing that.
Right. Exactly. So what I was going to say was this is where I think a lot of people were doubting things that she was saying because like, oh, she's doing this for attention, whatever. And that particular thing of just being like throwing out mom talk and being like, I can't say who, but like you figure it out. That is a shitty, really like drama starting thing to do where you are roping in all these other people that may have absolutely nothing to do with it. And you know how internet sleuths can be. They might think they figure out something, figure out who it is. And then that really fucks with people.
Well, also let's talk about this. If this is all true.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which honestly, I have to say, it would be a lot of like lies and things to like keep up just for clicks. It'd be a lot. And
there's a lot of moving parts.
Also, a lot of people's responses make me think that it's not fake.
Right. If this is true, let's make something very clear. She said that they all agreed upon doing this together, that it was all consensual, that they had a certain amount of verbalized rules. It didn't technically get out there. I don't believe that this was happening, or like no one was blaming her. It was just the rumblings that this might come out. And so before that could even happen, she went and publicly opened up a bunch of people's private lives.
Yeah.
That involved consenting adults.
Right, sure.
That's part of their private relationships.
Right.
She just put it all out there.
And that's where I am interested, like if something really was going to come out and it is her getting ahead of it or who knows. But I will say that in terms of it being fake or not, I have an inside source who grew up in that community and also was at one point related by marriage to one of the people involved in this core group. And she said, I've heard for the past year about this swinging group. Like this has been something that has been
I don't think it's
gossiped
uncommon.
about.
Yeah.
Well, no, about this specific group swinging. So
right.
she's basically like, I don't think that this is fake. Like I 100% think that there's something real going on. But yeah, to just loosely associate all these people with it who may have had nothing to do with it, like you were saying, who might have just like collabed on
who are
videos,
now having to
sucks.
be like, they're now going on their TikToks being like, I don't know about this, like, or I was not participating in this, like, please do not involve me.
Well, it's interesting. So she also named in her lives people that she said wasn't involved. I mean, she was really going on.
So she said Camille and Sam, who is one of the twins.
Yeah.
She said specifically in her first live, they were not part of the swinging group.
She said Camille didn't want to.
She said Camille didn't want to. And she also said the group decided that Camille and Sam were too much drama and would add too much complication to the group. So we can cross Camille and Sam off the list of what's going on. Because now what people are trying to figure out is who is the guy that Taylor is claiming that her and him both caught feelings for each other.
This is also the interesting thing, though, where like some of these people are very influential, like in the community.
Yes.
Sam's from a billionaire family, and he's the one that I spent like basically like almost spent the night at his house. And they literally have like indoor basketball courts, like indoor, like he's from a billionaire family. So this is the other thing too, where I'm like, was there rumblings that, I mean, and I don't know, this is all purely my speculation, but I also do have to wonder, like, were there rumblings that she was going to come forward with this? And were there certain couples or people that may have like paid her off to not implicate them in it? I don't know.
Perhaps.
I don't know. I mean, I don't want to directly say it's anyone. Who knows. She did specifically say that people weren't. But then the conspiracy theorist in me was like, well, I mean.
Well, I will say that Camille and Sam were mentioned and said they weren't part of the group from the initial live. But then she went back on.
This was the one that was
this
sketchy.
Is sketchy.
That one actually really
then
wasn't.
She went back on back on live and said that Miranda, who is Camille's sister, and her husband Chase were not the ones that she's referring to. Okay? They did a live previously.
Yeah.
And they were saying, we don't, like, this is all bullshit. Miranda saying, I had already, like, cut off my relationship with Taylor because Taylor had come to other people and told them that she thought my husband Chase had caught feelings for her, and she was going around and telling people that and not to my face, and so I don't want a friend like that, and that's the reason that I had cut her out previously. This is not something that involves us.
Because there was like a month ago where like they unfollowed each other and whatever. There was internet proof that their relationship had gotten cut off abruptly about a month or so ago before this, I believe.
So everyone's, theorizing that, they basically told Taylor, like, you better say that we weren't part of it. What's an interesting portion of Taylor's live is that Taylor said in her live that her husband, Tate, is not friends with any of these people anymore after all the stuff that came out during the explosive argument after Taylor had hooked up with this one other husband, that he found out a lot of stuff that he didn't like, that he is no longer friends with any of these people, that Taylor and now her ex-husband, Tate, are cordial and good. But it's very awkward because Taylor has to go back to work with one of them or some of them.
Mm-hmm.
And so when people were putting two and two together, apparently Chase and Tate work together.
Oh.
So of all the people that are connected in a work way to Tate, Chase and Miranda are the ones who are connected. Taylor goes back on a second live, says, also, they weren't involved either. Even though in her previous one, she had said Tate's going to have to even go back to work with one of them.
And let's be real, too. It could be two things. It could be one, people, they might be involved and they might be threatening, paying off, whatever, who knows. But also the other side of it, too, is if it looks like this person is implicated and they weren't at all, that could be like a lawsuit that would be a nightmare to deal with if that person really has no involvement,
Of
and
course.
it's like that's defamatory and that could affect my business.
All of this is very much alleged, and
it could all go one of two ways, right?
Like, also, shout out to Reddit, because the only way that I was able to kind of put any of this together was Reddit. It's so confusing because there are so many moving parts to it, but all of it's alleged. Everyone's making guesses. And it's also alleged, too, coming from Taylor, when, again, there's a history with Taylor where she's makes up things on TikTok to try to get clicks.
Right.
So people are already going like, what is this real? Like,
by the
what's
way,
happening?
they have still not technically filed for divorce, which is worth noting. And of course, it's paperwork. You got to get around to it. If you're moving out and selling your house, like, but
which
no,
the
actually,
house, what the house did, it is publicly on the market.
It didn't sell yet.
I don't think it's sold yet.
It seems like good publicity for that. You can live in Taylor Frankie Paul's house.
Haunted home, apparently. Haunted
house.
home.
But that is interesting because it's not actually like the filing could just be something you just go do.
Yeah.
But that hasn't been done yet. So then people are like, well, take that with a grain of salt.
On top of this, so those are the two twins that are involved. Now, the person that she has not mentioned in any of her lives, who is part of the MomTok group, that this is the person that some people are throwing around that they think it might be, the affair might have been with Miranda's husband, Chase.
Yeah.
But the main person that everyone is saying is this woman, McKenna, and her husband, Braden, who she was part of MomTok. Now, since all of this has happened, McKenna and Brayden have deleted all their social media. So they do not have a presence on social media right now. So she is the one who's not coming back and like defending, anything. She's been silent because they do not exist now on social media.
And they might be divorcing.
And that's the thing. They might be one of the couples who has nothing to do with this, who are divorcing. But the way that Taylor's been going about saying, you guys can figure it out, the sleuths who very much follow them and their group on social media are pretty clearly saying it seems like it's this guy Brayden.
Which, by the way, these subreddits on the that have existed about MomTok were far before this.
Far before. Because there was always a scandal.
Drama. Right.
Do you know who's also part of MomTok?
Yes.
Is the mom Whitney who did the dance when
in the
her
ICU.
child is in the ICU. Right. Okay, who she's had a lot to say about this whole thing since. So that's where it stands as far as what Taylor said. Since then, there have been leaks from anonymous, trustworthy sources. I'm putting quotes around this because I don't know where they're from and no one's saying where they're from.
Sure.
So it could be from literally anybody.
Right.
So this is all alleged.
Right.
But the new alleged theory is that Taylor and Tate are friends with McKenna and Brayden, the other husband-wife duo. Taylor and Brayden are vibing on each other. Apparently, the anonymous source says that Taylor and Brayden propose to their husband and wife, Tate and McKenna, that they should all try swinging because Brayden and Taylor want to start hooking up. Two theories are happening right now. One theory is saying that they said, sure, let's try it. And then quickly they all said, no, we don't like it. And the other theory is that they immediately shut it down from the get. But both lead to then Taylor and Brayden having a long-standing affair, meeting up in parking lots, exchanging love notes. They say apparently...
Why do they think that? This is just the anonymous source saying this?
This is the anonymous, which the people who are claiming this are like, this is a reliable source.
I mean,
so,
sure.
Again, don't know where this is coming from, but a lot of people are then saying that Taylor hopped on this live to basically try to say this, I know what I did was wrong, but I'm going to cushion that blow by saying everyone was part of it.
And by also oversimplifying it and be like, we snuck away once when she might be trying to cover her ass for what was really a long-standing
and also saying
affair.
They were all hooking up. She said on her live that whoever's husband she hooked up with, that wife had hooked up with her husband in front of her. That they had all been having sex, or
which, by the way,
having sex apparently. Whatever they were doing, soft
sexual
swinging.
activities,
right?
For sexual gratification, one might presume. Also, there was a photo that came out from some OnlyFans, of Taylor and Miranda, correct? Making out in a bathtub.
One of the
twins.
They
tried to say that was at a bachelorette party like years and years ago, but then other evidence came out that it was far more recent than that. However, they do claim that it was not taken with their knowledge and posted on this OnlyFans.
So, regardless of if Taylor is referring to husband Chase or husband Brayden, a lot of people are guessing that Miranda and Chase were involved in the swinging group, if it really did happen. But they believe that Brayden, McKenna's husband, was the one who Taylor was hooking up with.
Why do they believe that it's Brayden? And that's what I wasn't clear on.
They believe that it's Brayden because of
the disappearance.
Because of the disappearance of McKenna and Brayden. Also, they believe that then when Taylor went back on Second Live and basically was like, it's also not Miranda and Chase, it's someone else.
And it was that second one that was sketchy, right?
Yeah, so it's like, okay, if she was hooking up with Chase, would she blatantly be like, no, it's also not them, it is somebody else? But she kept saying, no, this happened. Now, since all of this has come out in the past 24 hours, Taylor and Taylor's sister have gone to social media and basically said, I spoke my truth, but I have now been contacted and received a cease and desist letter, and I will no longer be speaking to this.
I think that's bullshit.
I kind of think it is too.
Because also a cease and desist is just that. It's like I've said before, I've gotten multiple ceases and desists ceases and desists. And well, a cease and desist isn't actually someone suing you, right? It's just like threatening that they will sue if you keep talking. But again, if you're going to get someone, as we've been learning with like the Amber Heard and Johnny Depp trial, if you're going to sue someone for defamation or libel or slander, there are like so many elements that you have to prove. First of all, you have to prove that it's a lie. Yeah. Which, like, if she has proof that they were in a swinging group, then they can't even, like, they have no case.
So Taylor has said on her live, I am not afraid. And she said on her live, everyone will deny this. I know that. I have text messages, videos, all this stuff to prove it. Okay. And then Miranda on her live with her husband, Chase, she said, I have stuff to prove that it's not true. So now all of a sudden Taylor is quiet and is like, it's a cease and desist, so I'm not talking about it anymore, even though she says she apparently has all these things to prove it. So now people are going, did she fully make all this shit up?
Well, and like you said, that actually would make sense if there was this affair going on and people are getting wise to that. And it's like, oh, this is her trying to cover her ass, basically.
This is why this is so fascinating, because you're like, what the fuck is going on? Like, everything is alleged. And I mean, I just feel, again, for all these people, if none of this is true, let's think about that for a second. If none of this is true and you just have some person going on the internet, like making people guess about things that are going on in your personal life.
Yeah, that'd be
What's
horrible.
important to remember too is, again, we're talking about, so Taylor has, and I'll talk about this podcast in a second, but Taylor went on a podcast a couple weeks ago. In the podcast, she talked about how she was raised in the Mormon church. She still goes to church, but she doesn't follow a lot of the rules. But she 100% considers herself to be a Mormon. And if you know, there a lot of people who are part of the LDS community, like they're not allowed to drink, not allowed to have caffeine, sex, off the table.
Right. So
Taylor says that she knows in this podcast, she's like, I know that what I do is scandalous in the community. I receive a ton of heat from the community. But I was raised Mormon and I still go to church. I just don't follow all the rules. When she talked about MomTok as a whole, which then she went back on, by the way, and said it was only a few members of MomTok. But when she did this umbrella term, let's just say this group did do it. We don't know if there are a lot of people in the group who are, like you said, well known in the community, maybe leaders in the community, where even her saying we were always drinking would be a huge thing because drinking is a no-no. So there's a lot of layers to when she's saying we were doing this.
Yeah.
That could cause a lot of trouble in the church for some of these people.
Yeah, I mean, I will say that just from what I've personally like observed and witnessed, like just being friends with certain people and whatnot, like sort of if you are, I mean, I'm sure some people would disagree with this, but I was even kind of reading this on Reddit too, as I was going down the rabbit hole of people being like, when you are a wealthy and influential person in the church, there is more leeway.
Yes.
And so it sort of seems like common knowledge that these groups party, drink, probably not the swinging thing is, that even for people who aren't in a religious group, for that to come out for like family and business that you're like a swinger is very taboo.
Yeah.
But I will say that it's
something most people keep private.
That was interesting too, is people were saying like, no, they're not really Mormons. Like, no, they definitely are. Mm-hmm. And there are different, just like I grew up in the Christian community and people are getting blackout drunk on whiskey with their youth group club, on a Friday night. Like
I would be going up on church on Sundays and singing up on stage. And then I'd go outside and be smoking in the back, smoking a cigarette, which I would get hugely busted for with like some of the musicians, like in between services.
Right. Like I think that to say that, oh, these people aren't real Mormons because they don't follow the rules is like, I think kind of ignorant and ignores the fact that there are definitely one, that it's overlooked when you're famous, wealthy, whatever, because let's not forget that Mormons are or like the Mormon culture and religion is a lot about evangelizing. And I remember it was really big, like when I was in high school, for kids in the Mormon community to date non-Mormons, because it's all about like cultivating a community for where people feel safe to come in. So it's like, I think that there is a big focus on maintaining like a perfect front, but I think there also is a leeway in terms of people's like personal activities in a way, if you're in certain circles. So it's all very interesting. Oh, and also Taylor had a bunch of TikToks, which I guess were fake. Some of them were, some of them weren't. Talking about, had done a ton of TikToks on open relationships. Oh, my husband and I are in an open relationship. Oh, my husband and I are both with this is my sister wife, whatever. And a lot of that was bullshit. But then you're like, wait, so there's this line blurred between like fantasy and reality. Like it's
But that's
so
why then you
bizarre.
look at this live of hers and you go, is this a way to get views?
Right. Or like, I think it does make a lot of sense. Is this a way to for you to cover your ass by pulling
so
other people
she was
under the
on
bus?
this podcast on May 11th.
Okay.
On this podcast, she said, she brought up her claiming to be 50. She brought up her haunted house. And she brought up the swinging TikToks, the sister wife TikToks, the open relationship TikToks. She said they were all fake. She admits to all of them not being true, and that the reason that she does it is she's like, that's when I get my best engagement. She said you have to do that because she goes, number one, it'll cause people to fight in the comments, and that bumps my engagement. And number two, it's shocking.
Right.
So that's where I get my hits. She's
And
like,
she sort of said, like, I don't care. I respected this about her. She's like, I don't give a fuck if my comment section is all negative, bad things about me.
No.
I don't care.
She knows she's going to get more views. So she was saying that, like, she's like, I always have to try to figure out a new way to ride the line without getting
May 11th?
Yes, without getting canceled. To say stuff that's going to work people up and will get me on like the explore page and make me go viral, that won't get me canceled, but that'll explode my TikTok.
Yeah.
So, and she brought up specifically the swinging TikTok. She said, I got a call from my parents and my parents were upset about that because they were like, Taylor, you have younger Mormon girls who follow you who think that this is real and they're going to think this is okay. This is what she said. And then 3 weeks later, she's saying they are swingers. So you're going,
bizarre.
What's going on? Is this all a stunt? Are you leaving people in the wake?
Or
of this?
did she say that? Or did she say that on the interview because she knew some shit was going to come out about her, and her plan was to deny the swinging, but then shit got ahead of her, found out that even more than she bargained for was going to come out, and then she's like, well, now I got to admit to the swinging so that some truth is in the mix to cover my ass.
Or is she like, you know, when you feel guilty about something and you insert a little bit of truth in everything?
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
So
like sort of so you have through lines on certain things. Yeah, I will say, like, even though I have my conjecture on who's who and who's involved, I will say that this, like you said, whether or not someone was involved or not, that's a lot of personal shit being blasted when you didn't intend it to be. So I say, you know, engage with her, she obviously wants you to, Taylor Frankie Paul, TFP is who I'm talking about. She obviously wants you to engage, respond, get heated, whatever. But I mean, I will say, like I've said before, we've seen it on The Bachelor and we've taken part in it in certain ways where you're like, no, I know this is the truth because we have a source, because this and this lines up with the evidence. Just, if you're engaging with this, please don't like come for certain people assuming you know that they're the ones. And that's just,
and I'll tell you
that
this
really
much.
fucks with people.
I'll tell you this much. When I was going on Reddit and then going through the deep dive of all the different potential strings, and I was doing my Charlie Day thing where I'm connecting all the dots, everything is alleged. Nobody knows.
Well, and she said, like, first she said conflicting things too, where she's like, yeah, they're from MomTok. And then she's like, no, like only 2 people were in MomTok.
Exactly.
And I'm not friends with them. But then the 2 that she's not friends with anymore are Miranda and Camille. And then it's not Miranda and it's not Camille. So, I mean, she's saying conflicting things like all the time that don't even make sense.
Exactly. And then again, with the history of what she's done on the platform, you know, it makes you scratch your head. Like, what is going on? And let's just say it is true. To me, it was a little bit like, and again, I don't know the whole story. Maybe there was like hard, like maybe she knew for a fact a story was coming out the next day about her and she needed to get ahead of it.
Sure.
But going on alive.
But it also seems like you could just wait for that shit to come out.
That's what I'm saying.
And then just be like,
She'd
nah,
aired-
this and here's my proof this and this person was involved.
She aired all this stuff that was happening with consenting adults that clearly they wanted to keep private and they had a deal going on. And then she, I think, felt like she maybe got away with doing it because she didn't technically say anyone's names, but over and over again she kept saying, I don't want to say anybody's names, but you all can figure it out if you really try, and was dropping enough hints that people were able to be like, okay, it's one of these people.
Wow. Wow. Let's see how many followers she's up to now.
So that is the MomTok drama.
I mean, she's got 3.5 million followers, and she's gotten millions and millions of views on.
And the thing that's tough too is, I have my opinion about this whole MomTok crew. That's a whole different story. But she, like I said on her podcast interview, she likes to say
inflammatory
false
things
and inflammatory things to stir up reactions. But that doesn't mean that all the other MomTok people do.
I know. Wild.
So the whole thing's absolutely bananas. I'm very excited to see if anything more comes out because I'm so curious. But again, like I said, as of today, when we're recording this on Wednesday, maybe things will have changed when this episode comes out tomorrow on Thursday. But as of today, she said that she will no longer be saying anything because of cease and desist letters or notices.
Supposedly.
Oh
man, I'm sure they won't be the last that we'll hear from her though.
No, she's got that TikTok. She's gonna be. Come on.
Oh, man.
In some other news, Bachelor related.
Yeah.
Becca Kufrin and Thomas got engaged.
I know, she proposed to him. Very cute.
She proposed to him. He did. I love his caption. He was like, Uno reverse. She shocked me. I saw a lot of people. It made me sad because I think they're so cute together. They seem to really, really be in love.
Yeah.
I was seeing all these people posting and being like, oh, please, this is the third from the franchise.
Well, third time's the charm, as
third
they
time's
say.
the charm, baby. Third time's the charm.
Oh, my.
But I always forget about Ari.
Yeah, no, I don't.
But of course you don't.
Which reminds me.
Transition.
Segue. Hello, Bachelor Profits are back. Bachelor Profits are back, baby. So
listen, we were out of the Bachelor world for a while. We tipped our toe back in and we prophesied.
So if
double
you
prophecy.
remember, about 2 weeks ago, I brought up how someone in my DM said, "Oh, Ari has been gone on Instagram. What do you think that's about?" And I go, "I think he's on a reality show." Jess
Prophecy
goes,
number one.
Prophecy number one. Jess goes, maybe he's on this new show I just saw coming out when people have to live in a castle in Scotland called The Traitors. And then come to find out they released the cast of The Traitors. Ari Lyondike Jr. Boom, baby.
Bachelor Prophets. Man, we might not be good at everything, but we can prophesy in this franchise, baby.
Wow.
I couldn't believe it. By the way,
First of all, that you even knew about The Traitors in general, like you somehow randomly had heard about it.
Well, because I had auditioned for The Circle, right? And so I got pretty far in the audition process. I then received a message. Sometimes I receive messages when they're doing casting for, other, when that company's doing casting for other reality shows. And so I had gotten a message about this show, The Traitors, which I'm like, it looks so fun. But it was a brand new show. They've never done it before. This is going to be season 1. So it just came to my
Incredible.
To my head.
Incredible. And we nailed it.
Yeah. Feel pretty good about it.
Wow.
Feel pretty good about
Guess
that.
we got to watch that now and cover. Actually, that would be. You want to cover that one?
I'd be super down to cover it.
Let's cover it.
It looks really fun.
It's a cool concept. I love the competition shows in particular. And this one seems like it's called The Traitors. It makes me think mafia. It makes me think this kind of like espionage.
Yes. There's going to be everyone's going to be trying to deceive each other.
Fun.
Do you think Ari's going to go far in it?
I think he'll go semi. Oh, here's my prophecy. I'm seeing the future like Raven right now. I'm channeling. I say that, well, there's not that many cast members, right? There's only like 12 confirmed or something. Like there's not a ton.
Now, I could be wrong about
9.
this, so bear with me if I'm completely wrong. I think maybe in this show, people who are not famous are like competing or partnered up with the individuals who are famous. But I know that there are traitors and there are secret traitors and there are people who are not traitors.
This is already an established Dutch reality show.
Oh, okay.
Called The Traitors, yeah. And
Leave
now
it
they're
to
doing
us.
it
We
for
steal from everything.
UK, US. Yeah. And yeah, filming in a castle in the Scottish Highlands, blah, 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 blah. The contestants move into a castle. They have to complete a series of challenges and missions in order to earn money for the prize pot. But 3 of the contestants are secretly traitors, like you said.
Okay.
And they'll try to deceive and manipulate their way to the prize. Ooh, I would love if Ari was one of the traitors. That would be fun. Do you think we know as the audience, or do you think we're trying to guess it out too? Suss it out.
I think we know as the audience. Maybe I'm wrong, but I remember reading the description for they could have switched it up, but I feel like when I read the description for the audition process that the audience might know.
So this is kind of how it is like the mafia. So at the end of the game, there's the remaining players. If they're all the faithfuls, then they all get to split the pot. But if there's one traitor in the mix, then the traitor gets all the money.
Yes.
That's fun.
It's a fun game, right? It sounds really fun.
I think...
This is the way I don't know if it's all celebrities, because it was an open casting call.
Interesting.
So if they were just going to be doing celebrities, it must be also...
A mix? I don't know.
It must be a mix, right?
Bizarre. I'm not sure. But I saw the casting list. I have to look at it again because I didn't recognize any of the other people.
If it's half celebrity, half non-celebrity, I think that makes it very interesting.
And dynamics of who you're going to trust and who you're not going to trust.
Exactly, because you might be starstruck by somebody and all of a sudden they're trying to like form an alliance with you, and you're like, oh my God, it's like one of my favorite persons.
I think Ari is going to be a traitor. No. Oh, I can't decide. What do you think? You think he's going to get chosen to be a traitor?
No.
No? You think he's going to be a I know! It's so hard!
The obvious answer seems no, because I can't see him doing like...
But that's kind of the point where they might choose him.
But then is it too obvious? I sure don't know.
I don't know. But either way, I think he's going to make it far. I think he'll be in the top like 4 or 5.
He has trusting eyes.
Right? Like I feel like... Oh, I don't know, but I will be watching.
He's a father. He's a family man.
Right.
He's got that gray. He has trusting eyes. I'm going to believe him.
Right. I think I will be watching. I'm excited.
I'm excited too. Also, some other potential tea is Pete and Dustin from Bachelors in the City. Pilot Pete was on Blake Horseman's podcast, and the topic of Bachelor in Paradise this upcoming season was 1000% brought up, and basically was alluded to that the option is there for him and that it is being highly considered. So we might see Pilot Pete back on our beaches. And what Dustin said, because Blake was like, Dustin, what do you think as Pete's friend? And Dustin was like, listen, we all know what the show can do, the narrative that it can spin. So I'm just telling Pete that if he really wants to go, it should be for a specific person. And if it doesn't work out with that person, he needs to leave the beach right away.
Leave now.
Get out.
I think
if it doesn't work, get out.
I think this could be his redemption arc. I really do.
You think?
If I was his friend, I would advise him to go on.
You don't think they're just going to try to screw him over again?
I don't. I have to say, I don't feel like I've seen that often on the show where someone is sort of like has played the fool on their season, or as a contestant or the person, and then they come back on and look even stupider. I think The Bachelor is more interested in creating a character arc with a person, and it seems
it's just better television.
It is better television, exactly, and the audience seems to rally behind someone with a redemption arc. Think Crystal, like all these different people.
Also, maybe what The Bachelor's thinking is Pilot Pete was the best. I shouldn't say best. The highest number season that they've had, I think, ever.
Yeah, definitely, and like followers and all that kind of stuff had the best response.
So if Pete went back on, they gave him a redemption arc, there's a potential that he could then be the Bachelor again.
A la Nick Viall.
There's been a few Bachelors who have done a double season, right? Or was it just Brad?
Oh, and Nick. Oh, no, Nick was I forgot. No. He was a runner-up twice.
Was it just Brad? I think maybe just Brad.
It would be good. That's all I'm saying. People would tune in, I think. I do think.
I would not fight having another Pilot Pete season.
I don't think I would either. Blessings.
I'm just saying. And then trying to think the remaining Bachelor news. Apparently Nate and Michelle are getting absolutely hassled about, are they together? Aren't they together? People like are bugging them nonstop.
Par for the course. Happened with Tayshia and Zach too.
I know.
Yeah.
Well, apparently there was a moment where Michelle took off her ring at like a party, handed it to her friend because her friend was like, I want to try it on. It was like a 5-second exchange, and then gave it back to Michelle. And there was some random person who filmed Michelle without her ring on, posted it, and everyone was like, they're broken up. And Michelle was like, do you know how violating it is? First of all,
to be at a party with friends and have someone
someone's filming you.
That's
She goes,
weird.
but to know for a fact that this person, if they were filming me, saw me take my ring off, saw me hand it to my friend to try it on, and put it back on, and intentionally just posted the 2 seconds when my ring was off.
So lame.
So gross.
Yeah. Lame.
They're very much together and very much in love. Leave them alone.
Suck it.
Leave them alone,
Suck
honey.
it, guys. Okay, broads. Fun episode. Great
know.
chatting.
And we'll chat soon.
Yeah, chat soon.
Chat soon.